Welcome everybody to another meeting of RSS. It's Monday morning here. I believe most of you guys are Monday afternoon, Monday evening. As usual, we're all over the world. I don't know if you guys noticed or not, in the latest D7 magazine, we were mentioned as a specialty club because we have members from 6 different countries. So I thought that was pretty cool. Our philosophy at RSS is to learn and have fun, and I am sure that we will do both today. Having said that, I'm going to turn it over to our presiding officer, who also happens to be our TMOD of the day, Ravi. The virtual podium is all yours, sir.
Thank you, Tiger. Once again, a very warm good morning to those of you starting off your day, and a very good evening to all of us. The rest of us who are just about to finish our day. And we don't have our presiding officer, our president today, so that's why I'm taking up this role. I think I see a lot of familiar faces, and we also have Anuradha, who's become one of our regular guests, so I don't think we need to have a special round of introductions there. So, and I don't think we have anything that we need to call out from a club business point of view. I hope, well, one thing I can call out though, that comes to my mind is, if any of us have not yet renewed, please renew your memberships with Roseburg Speakers and Storytellers. Other than that, I will now just hand it over to myself to take up the role of the Toastmaster of the day. As the Toastmaster of the day,
we do have a guest here. We do have a guest, Barbara.
Oh, okay. My bad. I thought Barbara is somebody who keeps visiting us often. So, okay. Barbara, would you like to introduce yourself? Maybe share something about which club that you are regularly part of and what brings you here, other than being a very good friend of Mary's and that you're out camping. Yeah. Over to you, Barbara. Would you like to introduce yourself, please?
There you go. All right, can you hear me now? So thank you so much for allowing me to come today. I am from Waldorf, Maryland, Southern Maryland, and I belong to 2 clubs in that area. One is Andrew's Club, and the other one is Waldorf Toastmasters Club. And I became friends with Michelle at a couple conventions before, and have been other clubs with her as well. So I'm good friends with Mary. We are here in Florida now, and I am going to be representing one of my clubs in our division international speech contest. So I want to thank you all for allowing me the opportunity to present it to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Barbara, for giving us the opportunity to listen to your speech, and wish you all the very best. Looking forward to hearing from you. All right. So the theme for today is, can anybody guess if you've had a look at our agenda?
Games people play.
All right. Thank you. That's right. The theme for today is games people play. Now, before I talk about what I had in mind when I made up this theme, what comes to your mind when you hear this? Games people play. Would anyone want to take a stab at that?
It can be the mental games people play with each other, but I think our theme is in reference with the actual games, a little bit with, has something to do with sports maybe. Here, the baseball season has just started, and the other maybe board games or other games that we have all played since ages.
All right. Thanks for that, Shilpa. That's right. Anybody else would want to share what comes to your mind?
I think of family time, being surrounded in a table around friends and playing games, and the friendship of it.
All right. Thank you. I think that was Mary. Thanks for that, Mary.
Yes, and I wanted to share the word of the day when we get a chance.
Sure, I will call upon you to do all of that as well shortly. All right. Anybody else? What comes to your mind when you hear? Yeah,
Yes,
go ahead, Michelle.
Ravi. When I saw that theme, I flashed back, and this is very dating. I flashed back to the 70s. There was a very popular psychology book called Games People Play by Eric Byrne. And that was not this kind of games. It was games where people, have facades or play games in terms of power, dominance, etc. But that was way back. And the rest of their definitions, I also think about. Our favorite game, Dave and I, is a certain card game called Spite and Malice. And you have to Google it. Anyway, back to you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for that, Michelle. All right. So a lot of different views on what comes to mind when you hear games people play. To be honest, when I thought of the expression, it was something that I wanted people to think and figure out whether it was mental games, as we heard Shilpa talk about, or games where we're all as a family sitting together around a dining table, as Mary said. And surprise to me, which Michelle has shared, is that there's a book with that name as well. So interesting. What I had in mind was a whole bunch of board games that I've got, and what brought this to my mind was actually I visited a friend of mine last weekend, and he's a big time board game and card game fan. And that's really what made me think of having this as a theme for today's meeting. Now, there's a whole bunch of different games that we can play. As I think one of us said, it could be games that involve a lot of physical activity. It could be games that involve challenging your mind. It could be games that involve playing with other people's lives even. I don't know, but all right. So that's the whole concept of the team. And I think given that it's snowing some places, maybe people are staying indoors and playing a lot of board games, hopefully, whereas there's others that you can see on our screens enjoying the sunlight and playing a different sort of games perhaps. Okay, so with that, let me call upon our grammarian of the day today so that she can talk a little bit more about her role and also introduce the word of the day. I'd like to call on Mary.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day. My job as the grammarian is to look for improper uses of the English language, but also to point out some very great uses of the language, nice phrases, visual type of words. As the word of the day person, I will introduce a word that you will try to use when you have an opportunity to speak throughout the meeting. And we hope that you'll carry this new vocabulary word into your everyday speaking things. So going with the theme of games people play, the word is strategy. That's a noun. You also can make it into a verb by saying strategize. And it means a strategy is a general plan or set of plans intended to achieve something, especially over a long period of time. Using it in a sentence, it was the team's strategy to start off slow and then finish fast and strong. Strategy. Try to use that today, and I will be counting how many times it's used. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Mary. And I think I'll make it my strategy to use the word of the day as many times as I can today. All right. Now let me call upon our counter for the day today. I think I see on Zoom that Shilpa's renamed herself to our counter, so maybe she's taking on that role. Shilpa, would you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little more about the role? All right, I think
I
maybe
did
she's-
not, because
Oh.
I'm currently working. So
All right. Never mind, Shilpa.
yeah. Sorry
Uh,
about that. Like,
That's all right.
like, yeah, because I'll not be able to pay attention, and that is why I decline.
Okay. All right. I saw your name renamed, so my bad. I think then our backup was our general evaluator as well, right? All right. So I'll call upon Titin, who's going to take the role of the accounter to introduce herself and at the role.
Thank you, Ravi. So good morning, afternoon, evening, fellow Toastmasters and distinguished guests. I'm grateful to be in the meeting today and be the counter today. My role as the counter is to take note and count the unnecessary words and sounds such as so, you know, well, or something of the sort. I would like to offer 2 tips to reduce the filler words, which are to slow down a bit and pause when you are aware that you are about to say the filler words. And I will present the report later in the general evaluation session. Thank you, and back to you, TMOD.
Thank you, Titin, for taking on 2 roles today. Now, let me call upon our timer for the day, Anuradha, to tell us a little more about her role and what it entails.
Yeah. Greeting, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmaster and guest. As a timer, I will time the timetable topic, speakers, formal speech, and the evaluation. I will also alert each speaker of the time they have left using the green, yellow, and red card. Each denotes a specific times remaining. Table topic speakers should limit their remarks to no more about 2 minutes. At 1 minute, I will raise the green card. At 1 minute and 30 seconds, I will raise the yellow card. At 2 minutes, I will raise the red card. Most other speakers' speech should be 5 to 7 minutes in length. At 5 minutes, I will raise the green cards. At 6 minutes, I will raise the yellow card. At 7 minutes, I will raise the red card. In individual, evaluation should be between 1 to 2 minutes. At 2 minutes, I will raise the green card. At 2 minutes 30 seconds, I will raise the yellow card. And at 3 minutes, I will raise the red card. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Back to you.
Thank you, Anuradha, for explaining that role very well. And also thank you for taking on the role at the very last minute. Despite being a guest, we hope to have you taking up many more roles in the days to come. Now I'd like to call upon Titin once again. She is taking up the role of the general evaluator. So I'd request her to tell us a little bit more about her role.
Thank you, Ravi. So I happily serve as your general evaluator for the meeting. And as the GE, my role is to keep an eye on all the events of the meeting. Take note of the things that are good, give recommendations and suggestions if needed. And I will present my report towards the end of the meeting. Back to you, Ravi.
Thank you, Titin. Now, any typical Toastmasters meeting has 3 segments. The first one is the prepared speech segment. The second one is the table topics. And the third is the evaluation segment. So without any further ado, let's get into the first segment of Toastmasters, which is the prepared speech segment. We have 2 speakers today, Stephen and Barbara. Let me now call upon our first speaker, Stephen, to give his speech. Now, let me quickly also share the details of his speech. Stephen is going to present from the Pathways Leadership Development, the level 1 speech, and the title of his speech is Rich Habits, and the project title is Evaluation and Feedback, the second speech. So Stephen Liu, Rich Habits, Stephen Liu.
Thank you, Ravi. Hi, everyone. My name is Stephen Liu. My speech title is Rich Habits. Recently, I read a book. The name is Rich Habits. So this one, yeah. So I learned a lot from the book. The most important takeaway from the book is change your habits will change your life. Nextly, I would like to share what actions I took, which I learned from the book. First off, I list out all the bad habits which I had as so far. So the first bad habits which I have is I spend too much time on smartphone. Number two, I didn't conduct body exercise every day. Number three, I didn't care what I eat every day. Number four is I didn't read books. Number five, I can't finish the task in timely manner. Number five is I drink too much in my previous times. Number six is I didn't answer the missing phone call from the folks. Number eight is I can't remember some folks' names. The last one is I forgot some important appointments, such as our RSS meeting sometimes. So regarding those bad habits, I come up with the solutions and the right strategy to address this kind of bad habits. So regarding the first one, I spend too much on smartphone. So I will limit the phone usage within 1 hour every day. So this is my strategy for the number one bad habit. Like the children, as parents, we're using some technology. Say, for example, using some children mode. If you're using 40 minutes every day, some kind of apps cannot open at all. Yeah. So using this kind of strategy. So regarding the number two bad habit, I didn't conduct body exercise every day. So I using my Apple Watch to set up some target in 30 minutes. So the Apple Watch will remind me, hey guys, you should take 30 minutes exercise every day and finish your target, close your ring every day. Yeah. For number three, I didn't care what I eat in my daily life. So I also using my Apple Watch to set up some calories I eat. So I set some target, didn't over 1K calorie every day. Regarding the number four bad habits, I didn't read books. So I bought a lot of books which I'm interested. So I demand myself to read 30 minutes every day. So for number three, I can't finish the task timely. So I demand myself and I set up my agenda every day. I demand myself complete the task in my agenda and fulfill every day. Regarding that, I drink too much. So I demand myself drink 5 times per year. So for the rest of the bad habits, I also come up with the right strategy. So I don't want list out and the details. So that's what I learned, and I took actions for my bad habits. So I also share this kind of strategy to all of you, and hope you guys can learn from myself and to change your habit and change your life. Thank you, everyone. Back to you, Ravi.
Thank you for that speech, Stephen. And I think it gives me thought about jotting down the kind of bad habits that I myself have. And at least that would be the first step, whether I start changing them or not. But I think the first step would be to jot them down and have them in front of me. And hopefully sometime soon I'll start getting away from them as well. Thank you for that. Now, our second speaker for the day is Toastmaster Barbara. She is visiting us from another club, and there you go. May I request Barbara to also share with us her speech title, because I don't think I may have had that handy.
I will.
Okay.
I just need Mary to move. We need to know who the timer is also.
Sure. The timer is Anuradha. I would request Michelle, maybe if you can rename her so that it's easier for.
And how is she going to do the timing, just so I know?
Yeah, Anuradha, can you just show us the timer cards as well that you're using?
Yeah. Green card, yellow card,
Okay.
and red card.
Perfect.
And I have
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so I guess before we start timing, my title of my speech is 3 letters, TTA. And this is a 5 to 7 minute speech that I will be doing for our division contest for the International Speech Contest. I once asked my friends to describe me. They use words like nice, kind, respectful. I felt appreciated. But then I was asked about what I thought about Black Lives Matter and white supremacy. I thought I gave some good answers. I told them that all lives matter. Everybody has worth. I added that I've never put myself in a position to be supreme or privileged. Nobody should be degraded because of the color of their skin. It was suggested to me that I read a book titled What It Means to Be White by Robin DiAngelo. After reading, I learned that my answers weren't that good at all. Mr. Toastmaster of the day, fellow Toastmasters, and anybody who's uncomfortable with this necessary conversation. Systemic racism is on fire in our society. And one way for people who look like me to join that battle is to TTA. Think what it's like to be dismissed daily. Talk with others and learn about institutional racism and advocate. Join forces with those who are out to extinguish the ugliness. I've only begun my journey, but I have some aha moments that I'd like to share with you. I'm coming to terms with the real meaning of Black Lives Matter and white supremacy is. I'm reflecting and understanding that unintentionally I think and act in ways that I am opposed to. As you listen, perhaps you'll see a little bit of me in you. I have taught my entire career in schools that are 60% or more African American. Not once have I allowed the color of their skin to interfere with the ways that I educate them. I took a stand. I didn't see their color. I now understand that statement is absurd. Our eyes see color. What that statement is, it's a conditioned response of the brain to neutralize an uncomfortable situation. For decades, we have been brought up that white is right. Therefore, color is not. For my students, that statement was my ignoring their very identity. Conversation, the topic needs to be indifference is the beginning of prejudice. So think, there is a problem. What can we do? They say that actions speak louder than words. I deal with people based upon my relationships with them, not the color of their skin. In one of my clubs, I am the only white person. I feel comfortable in establishments that are frequented by people of color. And I date Black men. I don't discriminate. But somebody asked me, why do I think those things exempt me? I had to dig deep and answer some hard questions. And I was unprepared for the uncomfortableness that those answers brought. I was sending mixed signals. I needed to talk. I needed to learn about internalized racism. So talk, openly dialogue, and educate yourself about the real stories of racial inequity. Racism is ugly. I have a bubbly personality. I don't have the capacity to be ugly, so I can't be a racist. I was sharing a story with the gentleman I'm dating. I was telling him about a time I was server in a restaurant and I waited on two parties of men. One, a group of white churchgoers, and the other, a bunch of Black motorcyclists. He politely stopped me and said, I know you mean no harm, but that was a rather racist description. What? Because I said Black and white? Oh no. You need to understand, the word group was designed to describe people. The word bunch was designed to describe objects or animals. My mouth dropped open. I had no idea those automatic words had the power to degrade. I was brought up with generations that if I sent a message that was sincere, there was no offense taken. But I immediately became defensive over what he told me. I turned my words around and put him in the hot seat. But that is a determined reaction of a racist. But I'm not a racist, am I? So advocate. Join forces and understand to be part of the solution. I now challenge you. Think and plan. How are you going to set out your journey? Talk and dialogue with others to learn the stories and advocate. Use white privilege in order to condemn racism, not condone it. The next time somebody asks me about Black Lives Matter and white supremacy, I will give great answers. I plan to TTA. What about you? Mr. Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Barbara, for sharing that speech with us. That was a really wonderful speech with a very powerful message that all of us can take back with us. And we wish you all the very best for your contest as well. Think, talk, and act. Now, after that really powerful speech from Barbara, let's go back to talking a little bit about our theme for the day today, which is games people play. I have with me some of the games that I am really fond of playing, and I'm actually getting a sense of deja vu here. I'm not sure if I've done this with the Roseburg speakers and storytellers already, but I think I may have. Nevertheless, games never get boring, do they? Especially if you're a big fan of playing them. Here are a few of the games that I really love playing. This one is called Set. Oh, I see I disappeared. All right. This is a very interesting game that you can play. It's a bunch of cards. You can play all by yourself, or you can play it with, I think, up to 4 people. And it's a very interesting game because it's got a lot of visual components to it, but also has a lot of mathematical components, but it's really simple. And even probably, I think it says a 6-year-old to a 99-year-old can play this game. If you're 100, sorry, I don't think you can. But otherwise, you can always play. Now that's a card game. I also have an interesting board game with me. It's called Corridor. If you've heard of this one before, or if you haven't, this is essentially a game that is very similar to chess, but it just has 2 pawns on the board, or 4 if you've got 4 people. And you either build a wall or you progress on your board. And it's also a very fun strategy game. So those of you who are big fans of strategy, not just because it's a word of the day today, but in general, you love strategy, this is an interesting game that you can give a shot. All right, I'll talk a little bit more about other games, but before I call upon our table topics master, I want to quickly check with all of the folks who are here today. Would you want to share one game that comes to mind that you loved playing, or you still continue to play with your friends or when you were a child? Anybody?
Is anybody familiar with the game Parcheesi? It's a dice game. And the cool thing about it is you get to hit people and send them home. Very fun.
All right. I have Shilpa sharing with us on the chat that Monopoly, deal cards, and I think Ramikub. I don't know if I pronounced that right. All right, thank you. Thank you for sharing those as well, Shilpa. And regard what Tiger said about injuring people with dice, please do not try that at home, as the warning goes. All right, with that, I will call upon our table topics master for the day to start off the next segment of our meeting. Over to you, Ayu.
Thank you so much. Okay, who we want to throw dice on? Tiger? So we can send him home. Okay, I went through internet and I saw that there is video game, tabletop game, party game. Okay, so let's see what games that we have or we play in the past. Okay, table topic means impromptu speech. Please remember 1 to 2 minutes, and timer is Anuradha. Word of the day, strategy. Okay, who wants to be first? Silpa, are you on? No, yes.
Yes, I can take the first table topic.
Okay, thank you, Silpa. This is a question for you. What is the importance of games for you? What is the importance of games for you?
The important in while playing games means winning or the playing part, or like an important game for me.
You can choose which one you would like to share.
Okay. So, what is important to me about playing? And that would obviously the people that I play the games with. And sometimes it's also the games act as a very nice icebreaker for everyone. If you are in a party, you walk in, you know no one. There is always an icebreaker game where you get to know each other. It's a team play, or it's a minute to win it. That's always fun. So games bring life to any situation, any party, known or unknown. And that is what they embody for me. I'm not a big fan of strategy games because I do not have the motive to win every game I play. I'm not at my competitive best when I play games. Sometimes I feel, oh, I could have just won it. Why did I just give up so easily? So that is what I would like to improve on while playing games for myself. My brother likes strategy games. There is one called Risk that he likes. And we have been playing with my little daughter. We are 3 at home, so keep her busy and to keep boredom off the bay. We play a lot of games. Recently, we are hooked onto Rummy Cub, but Uno or Anno, as some people call it, that's been our family favorite since childhood. Like we can spend hours and hours playing Uno. And I'm hoping to try some new games. I also like the one called Ticket to Ride, and it's got so many versions. And I'm going back to India for some days. So I found a perfect game to take back for some of the family. Games. Back to you.
Thank you, Silva. Thank you so much. I cannot agree more because about games. Playing games means the importance of playing games with the people we play with family, with siblings, with friends, even with our parents. Sometimes I remember the last time I played was last month with my dad, and it cheered him up. It was a long time. Sometimes they were just working, working, working. Okay, next question. I would like to give it to Anuradha. Anuradha, can you time yourself?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Anuradha, tell us, when did you play a game with your family? It can be sibling, it can be your parents, or maybe with friends. What was it and how was it?
Yeah. Many of games I like to play with my family, my brother, and my friends. But which game I like too much is the badminton, and I like uh, chess and Lido also for family. We enjoy a lot of with us, and badminton and cycling and racing. Many of the games are I like most. So, and I know that games are very beneficial for our bodies and for health. So in everything we found enjoy, and everything we can uh, game this like paper we make aeroplane and boat, and we play with so many things are for so back to you, table topic master.
Thank you, Anuradha, for sharing that. Now, since Anuradha already shared with us about physical game, I would like to invite again Barbara or Mary, one of you, either, because I know you've been there in winter. So in winter, what did you do, or what do you do for playing games? What kind of games in the winter time? Thank you. Over to you, Mary or Barbara.
Thank you, Table Topics Master. We were just discussing ourselves some of the games that we most like to play. And one that's very popular in our area is called Mexican Train Dominoes. I don't know why it's a Mexican train. I don't think it was developed in Mexico, but that's what it's called. And it's dominoes that have numbers on it. And the purpose of the game is to get rid of all your dominoes. And there's several strategies to win. One is to keep the last domino that you have that you know someone needs to go out. So you keep it so they can't win. The second strategy is when you get down to one domino, you have to say, choo choo. But if you don't do it before the next person takes their turn, then you have to pick up from the pile. So the strategy is when you know someone's got one, you real quick do your turn so they don't have time to say, choo choo. So Mexican train dominoes, and there is a little train in there too, and they have tracks. It's really a lot of fun, and we play it for hours. It's become a family and friend favorite in our area. So if you ever get to the store, look for Mexican Train Dominoes. It's a sure fun time game to play. Back to you, Tabletop Master.
Thank you, Mary. Choo choo. There you go. Okay, next. I would like to invite Jerry. Jerry, are you ready for a table topic? Welcome, Jerry. This is about
Sorry,
games.
I just joined. I don't know what the topic is.
This is about game. Are
Game.
you on? Okay, let us know what kind of game you play in China. Any game.
Actually, you know, I like Chinese chess. You know, very much. And every day in my spare time, I will play Chinese chess on my mobile phone, and I enjoy it very much. But you know, because I love playing this game very much, so sometimes I always forget what I need to do next, and sometimes I forget to cook, to wash dishes. So my wife will always complain about why you're always playing. You do nothing. So now, you know, I have to just remind myself, and I cannot play so much. So, but anyway, my favorite game is Chinese chess. Thank you.
So Jerry, is that mahjong? Is that what they call mahjong? No,
It's not mahjong. It's not mahjong.
Oh
It's,
no. Okay. Different.
Yeah, it's not mahjong. Yeah, Chinese chess.
Okay. Thank you. That's very different. Let me see. Later, I want to explore what is Chinese chess. Thank you, Jerry, for participating.
Thank you.
I think we have one more time for one more, right? Yeah. I would like to ask who wants to take the last one. Okay. I don't know how to say that in English, but you need to do the scissor, paper and things between Michelle
Rock,
and
paper,
Tiger.
scissors.
Give it to Michelle. Ladies first.
Oh wow, Michelle, this is your turn then. Michelle, this is something that a little bit different. Okay, the topic is life is a game. All you have to do is know how to play it. That's a quote. Life is a game. All you have to do is know how to play it. Michelle.
Thank you, Ayu, Madam Table Topics Master. I love that question where you have reminded me again of another book. I don't know. For me, tonight seems, I know it's about games, but it seems like the strategy is to remind me about books. There is a book written by Dr. Sherry Carter Scott, and the title is If Life is a Game, Here Are the Rules. It's a very small book, but it's packed. It talks about strategies for how to live life to the fullest, how to live life in a way that you enjoy yourself, but you also leave something of value for others. I don't have a copy of it right in front of me, but from memory, One of the strategies mentioned in the book is make sure that you are prepared for whatever it is, be prepared. And man, isn't that what many of us do not do? We know oftentimes what we should be doing, but somehow we aren't prepared. There was another, I think there's 10 rules, and I will definitely look it up and share it with everyone because it's a wonderful book. It's not just about the strategy for life, but also a strategy for relationships. In fact, it was such a good book for relationships that she wrote a book after the first one, which was If Life is a Game, Here are the Rules. The next book was If Love is a Game, Here are the Rules, and so on. I think she has several books now. They're small, really easy to read, but very thought-provoking because you're thinking not just of strategies, but also actual things that you really should be doing. So back to you with the table topics.
Thank you, Michelle. That reminds me of something somebody said, or I probably read somewhere. Everything comes to you when you are ready. So life is a game, but just everything that you talk or you think, it will come to you when you're ready. Okay, with that, I just would like to say, Jerry, if you're still playing that games all the time, and when your wife angry to you, you need to listen to Stephen Liu speech today about eliminating the bad habit. Well, Jerry, thank you for joining us. And over
Thank
to
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for joining, participating, and over to you, Ravi.
Thank you, Ayu. Thank you for that lovely table topic session. Not only did we get to talk about games, but we also got to hear a lot of interesting information about life itself from Michelle and about the books as well. Thank you for that. Now, Terry brought up a very interesting point about games on his phone. That is one aspect I don't know if any of us spoke about so far. And when Jerry mentioned that he would lose track of time playing the game on his phone, it reminded me of my dad. He would love playing solitaire on his tablet. And I think if there was enough battery on his tablet, he would just be sitting on his bed playing solitaire for the entire day. And he wouldn't even remember what time of day it was. He wouldn't remember whether he was hungry or not. He'd just be lost in that game altogether. That's what that reminded me of.
Oh, same used to be like that for my dad. And then like we had a big fit about it that you're always playing games and not giving us enough attention. That's so relatable.
Yeah.
Great choice of theme today, Ravi.
Thanks, Shilpa. And thanks to Jerry for reminding me of that memory. So before we move on to our third segment, since Jerry talked about computer games or games on your cell phone or any other digital device, any of you, would you like to share any game that you play on a digital device, perhaps, that you're hooked to or you were hooked to and you gave up? Or in general, anything that you're still hooked to? Yeah, Michelle, over to you.
Yes, I was hooked. I gave up. It's called Tetris. And I recently saw that there's a movie, and even just watching the movie, I'm like, no, I'm not going to watch it. Because back then, I would realize, like you mentioned about your dad, I would realize that my neck was hurting and my thumbs were hurting and my shoulders were hurting because I had been bent over, what do you call that? Game Boy? Yeah, I was bent over the Game Boy trying hours. So I will not go near Tetris. I will not even listen to the sound of ding, because it's so addictive for me. But I am cured, I think, until the nerve. Back to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Michelle. Anybody else would like to share any games that you play on a computer or a digital device?
Barbara wanted to.
Please.
I am a math major, and so I like to do the number thing. So I used to do Sudoku a lot, and I still do Sudoku. But there's a new one that came out. It's called Wooduko. And it's really just pieces like blocks that you have to fit in to the 9x9 square, and you get points. And so, you know, the thing is to get all these to fit in without having no more moves. And I'm becoming addicted to that. So my strategy is to make sure that I'm looking through and I'm trying to fill in like a block at a time. Because it used to be I just fill in wherever I felt. So now I'm like, okay, let me do what I can do to get that block. So I concentrate on that block and that block and that block. And sometimes I get a high score and sometimes I get the no more spaces. But the no more spaces only makes me say, I'll get you. And I keep going. So I haven't yet gotten to the point where I say, forget it yet. But I'm liking that more than the Sudoku, because Sudoku, I have to think a little bit more. This, you know, not so much. More strategy, but I don't have to look at all the numbers.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing, Barbara. And that reminds me, my mom also at one point in time, she was hooked to this game of Sudoku, but not on the computer. She would wait for the newspaper to arrive every day and then sit and solve the Sudoku puzzle. Now, before Michelle or our timer blow the klaxon at me, well, before I hand it over to our general evaluator, I just wanted to do that because this is from one of my favorite games. It's called, any guesses? It's called Taboo. If you've ever heard of that game, that's a fun word game. And those of you who know me at this club, you know that I have a love of words. So any word game, I'd be very happy to play with you. So before I call on our general evaluator, a couple of other word games that I want to talk about. There's one more called Snatch It. Now this is like Scrabble, only a little better than Scrabble. And it's a whole lot of fun to play with the entire family. So if you ever get a chance, do play this. All right, with that, I'd like to now call upon our general evaluator of the day, Titan.
Thank you, Ravi. As the general evaluator for today's meeting, I have the great honor and pleasure of evaluating everything that has transpired so far. Let us commence this evaluation session with the evaluations of the prepared speech speakers. Well, evaluations are one of the most important elements in Toastmasters. So please join me to welcome our first individual evaluator, Tiger.
Thank you, Ms. General Evaluator. I have a unique strategy for doing evaluation. I use the acronym SPEECH. I do it for two reasons. I think it covers all the bases, and number two, it keeps me focused. S is structure. This was the best part of this speech. There was obviously a structure. There was a clear beginning. There was a body of information. There was a clear conclusion. So thank you, Stephen, for staying with a good structure. The letter P is presentation. Stephen clearly pronounced all his words. His message was simple. It was easy to understand. And I think that all of us got all the information very clearly. So good presentation. E is for enthusiasm. I clearly got the impression that he's enthusiastic about this topic because he shared examples in his life of how this topic has improved his life. Which brings me to E, engagement. This is a topic that we can all relate to. I think we are all in Toastmasters trying to better ourselves and to learn ways to better ourselves. He engaged us with a topic that we can all relate to. C is communication. Communicating a message is very important in a speech, and I clearly got the message. Steps 1 through 3 especially were emphasized, but we clearly got a message. So excellent job with that. H is humor. Now, anybody that knows me knows that this is important for me. However, this is not something that is required in a speech. I believe it's important to add a little humor, and Stephen didn't add any humor. However, being a beginning speaker, that's okay. That is something I would recommend in the future, maybe add in a little bit of humor. So let's go over conclusion. Number one, excellent structure, good message, good examples. In his body, he gave us some good examples. So overall, this was a good speech. It had a clear message. We all got something out of it. Recommendations. You had plenty of time. You had us engaged. You had another 2 minutes and you left out 4, 5, and 6, I believe. You had plenty of time to go through 4, 5, and 6, as well as 1, 2, 3. So I would recommend in the future, go ahead and use all your time, especially with a speech where you have your audience engaged. Other than that, perhaps maybe a challenge is to add a little to add a little humor in your future. Excellent speech. Keep it up. We appreciate the improvement, significant improvement over last week. Back to you, evaluator. Back to you, general evaluator.
Thank you,
Round of
Tiger.
applause, please. Thank you, Tiger. Round of applause, please, for Tiger. Thank you so much for your comprehensive and uplifting feedback and evaluation for Stephen Liu. We do learn a lot from your feedback, the structure, pronunciation, the enthusiasm, engagement, communication, humor, and message. And now let us proceed to our second evaluator, Michelle, who will evaluate our second speaker, Toastmaster Barbara.
Thank you very much, Madam General Evaluator. And thank you, Barbara. I tremendously enjoyed your speech with a very simple 3-letter title, PTA. And so to match your 3-letter title, I am using a format which I learned in the Philippines long ago. We don't use it in the US, but since I'm back in the Philippines, might as well use it. It's COD, where C is for content, O is organization, and D is delivery. So let's start with content. It was a very powerful topic. Black Lives Matter, racism, white supremacy. That content can be a little bit controversial, but you handled it really well because you shared it from your own experience. I recall back in 2008, I gave a speech called Change We Can Believe In, and the contest, the Toastmaster actually said, no, you cannot deliver a political speech. And I said, yes, I can. Anyway, in this case, it is probably not going to be counted as political, but you will have to be aware that there are some judges, there might be some judges who might feel uncomfortable about the content, the topic you're talking about. But go ahead, be bold, because there will also be others who will appreciate and admire your courage. And I remember again, in my case, 2008, after the speech, some people came and said, thank you for speaking up. It's a, a precarious line, but you're now at the vision, so go for it. Now, organization, you had a clear opening, you had a body where you told story, you gave examples, and then you had a closing. I loved your closing, your call to action. It was very powerful, and which leads me to the third, the letter D, delivery. Your call to action was not just words, you actually reached out. And I know in the online world, that's hard, but you really reached out and you said, what about you? And you reach your hands forward. Very powerful. So again, as a contest speech, if we have time for further discussion before the division contest to, just go into more specifics, I'll be happy to do that. But just looking at it and having been a judge a gazillion times, you have a great speech, great content, great organization, and great delivery. So I'm rooting for you, looking forward to your performance at the division level. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Michelle. Round of applause, please, for Michelle. I always love your evaluation that is so motherly. It is useful not only, I believe, not only for Toastmaster Barbara, but also for me, and I believe for all of us as well. The content, organization, and the delivery. And now we are done with the individual evaluation round, and we shall move on to the reports of our evaluation team. And to start off, let us call on our grammarian, Mary, for her report.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. As always, it was very difficult being the grammarian with this group. You all speak the English language so proficiently. It was very hard. Plus, I just get caught up in the whole topics. So I mainly caught really good things that I wanted to talk about. Barbara, you used the word systemic, uncomfortableness. I can't even say that. Uncomfortableness. Internalized dialogue. Wow. Ravi used deja vu. I think that's a French word. Shilpa used her competitive best. Michelle, thought-provoking, precarious. Excellent vocabulary. Stephen, I was really trying to listen for a mistake, and I only caught one. Mostly, you were very easy to understand. You used good vocabulary, but I was really trying to. So I only caught one thing: learn from myself. It should be learn from me. That's it. I just have a real tough time with you all. You're such great speakers of the English language. So that was my grammarian. Oh, word of the day. Word of the day was strategy was a good word, particularly with the games theme. Ravi used it once that I heard. Steve used it twice. Shilpa used it twice. I used it 3 times that I heard of. Michelle is our winner with 4 times. Barbara used it twice. And I stuck one in the chat. So I call hers a virtual strategy word of the day. That's what I caught on word of the day. Well used word. I hope you continue to use strategy in your everyday languages. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Mary. Round of applause, please, for our grammarians, a detailed, considerate, and organized report. I like that you show appreciation to each of the participants, mentioning of the interesting words and word of the day. We have improved our grammar by listening to your explanation. And next, may I have the report from our timer, Anuradha?
Yeah. So for prepare speech, speaker first, Stephen Lewis, takes 4 minutes 35 seconds, and Barbara 7 minutes 8 seconds. And for table topic speech, first speaker is Silpa Singhal, takes 2 minutes 10 seconds, and me, I take 1 minute 22 seconds, and Mary takes 1 minute 25 seconds. Jerry Lewis takes 1 minute 11 seconds. Michelle takes 2 minutes 16 seconds, and the evaluator Tiger takes 3 minutes 7 seconds, and Michelle evaluator 2 takes 3 minutes 5 seconds, and grammarian Mary takes 2 minutes 6 seconds. Thank you. And back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Anuradha. I appreciate you highly for working industriously behind the screen. And now comes to my counters report. For the first speaker, he had the frequent filler words. That was the word so. And then for our guest, okay, he's not here anymore. Jerry, I heard 4 and 2 so. Okay, I only quote these filler words from the speakers for this meeting. So this awareness hopefully will provide added motivation for us to cut out filler words, and I am aware that I have filler words as well. Okay, so me included. And now I would like to provide my general evaluation for the meeting. So this morning's RSS meeting went very well as usual. It started at 8 a.m. Oregon time, and I can feel the warm camaraderie throughout the meeting with a very interesting and relatable topic with the word of the day that enriches our vocabulary. I received the meeting agenda before the meeting starts, which gave me ample time to prepare, and the speakers, evaluators were in the Zoom room on time. I would like to thank our timer, Anuradha, who came and visit us this morning and took up the timer's role right before the meeting started. And I would like also to extend my gratitude to the role takers. Let's start with our Toastmaster of the meeting, okay, who did a fantastic job of keeping us on track, ensuring we followed the agenda. And I saw that you were aware of the time and progress of the meeting. That I almost forgot that you weren't a traffic cop. Well done, Toastmaster of the meeting for today. And next, I would like to talk about our table topics master. Okay, Bu Ayu, you were the master of the unexpected and the queen of the curveball. Your topics were so challenging that even the most seasoned Toastmasters had to take a moment to think. And I enjoyed your session very much. It was educative and entertaining. It must require lots of strategy to conduct such an amazing table topic session. Now let us proceed to our evaluators. Okay, you are all fantastic and provided some great feedbacks to our speakers. And I consider myself to be fortunate to be in this meeting to listen to our first speaker, Stephen's wonderful speech. Thank you for being vulnerable, and your speech serves as a reminder to me to eliminate my bad habits. And for the second speaker, Toastmaster Barbara, I believe we were all moved and inspired by your strong message. And I have the pleasure of acknowledging our grammarian for her excellent work in catching all of our verbal blunders. And I would like to thank you, Mary, our grammarian, for keeping us in check. You have reminded us that grammar doesn't have to be boring. And attention to details can be fun. Okay, so let us raise a glass to our grammarian and hope that she will continue to be the grammar superhero that we all need. And next, I have the pleasure of acknowledging our trusty timer for her excellent work in helping us to stay on track and to remind us that brevity is the soul of wit. And you reminded us that time is precious and that we should make every word count. And again, let us raise our glass to our timer and hope that she will continue to be the timekeeper that we all need. One suggestion and challenge that I might need to throw will be to have all the role takers ready before the meeting starts in the future. So in conclusion, I would like to thank all of you for making today's meeting so enjoyable and entertaining. Okay, to our guest, I see that the guest has left already. I hope that everyone, the guests especially, have a good taste of what RSS meeting is all about. And yes, actually, I would like to remind the guest that he or she might end up like me, addicted to the thrill of public speaking and the sound of our own voice. Thank you. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day, Rafi.
Thank you very much, generally valued Titan. And I think she also deserves a round of applause from all of us for such a comprehensive and really heart-touching report. Thank you very much. So Anuradha, I think as Titan said, she was a guest for a very long time and then she's become a member, and I hope Anuradha, you also become one. All right. Now with that, I think we are right on time, but in order to just use the word of the day once again, strategy. If you are ever interested in a strategy game and you want to borrow one from me, I am going to be very happy to give you this one, Settlers of Catan, or it's just called Catan. I've had this game for about 8 years now, and I haven't found anybody to play it with yet. So if you are a fan of strategy games, let me know and I'll ship it to you.
People like it. My daughter hasn't liked it particularly. So yes, it's really popular, but it's difficult to find people who play it, I guess.
Right. Indeed. And while we're on the subject of games, before we end it, I would also want to quickly tell you all about one other game of mine, favorite game of mine. It's called Forbidden Island. Now, this is a very different board game. The fun part of this game is it is not a competitive game. Most of the other games are about defeating somebody, but this game is a game that you have to play along with everybody, and only if you, it's called a cooperative game. And only if you play along with everybody, you can win. Otherwise, everybody loses. So this is also a very interesting game. If you are ever in my neighborhood, or if I am ever in your neighborhood, I'm sure going to bring this along, and we'll play around with it. All right. So with that, I think we've come to an end of our meeting for the day today, and I would like to hand it over to our Sergeant at Arms to close the meeting, maybe. Or yeah.
You're the VPE, just adjourned, Mr. President.
All right. Okay. So since I am the Vice President of Education, yeah, let me just also say that, yeah, the meeting is adjourned for the day today, and I think we can stop recording. Thank you.